I think we're just gonna start with like the elephant in the room, which is what happened exactly like yesterday. They dropped the ban list, and I have not looked at it in detail yet this morning because I wanted to keep my initial reaction to most of the things, but I've seen that it has more hits than usual, so I'm excited for that. Cards to be unlimited. Okay, so we're going from unlimited to the bigger hits. Okay, Nadir Servant from 2 to 3. That is completely fine in my book. The Dogmatica engine has not done much. Ancient Fairy Dragon from 1 to 3 also makes perfect sense. I'm gonna be honest with you. Ancient Fairy Dragon is one of those cards that there's no difference between this card being at 1 or at 3. 99.9% of the decks are gonna use only one copy if they're gonna use it. Gears to the Orcust Mech Knight from 2 to 3 is just decluttering, honestly. This card had no business being at 2. And that's it. That's all the unlimits. Okay, just decluttering of the ban list, honestly. I like it. Cards to be semi-limited. Blaster Dragon Ruler of Infernos. Dude, this is a good point of the stream to bring this up. I saw this the other day. They are printing a Dragon Ruler rank 7 XYZ monster called Blaze, the Supreme Ruler of Dragons. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I could not be more excited. Pot of Extravagance from 3 to 2. Okay, not something I expected, not something I would have said was necessary, but I get it. I don't hate it. Luster Pendulum from 1 to 2. Fair enough. Haven't seen this card in forever in Master Duel. And now we go to the hits, mostly. I mean, Extravagance was the first hit, technically, but here we have cards to be limited, and I immediately see Branded Fusion. This one does not feel necessary to me. I didn't feel like Branded was oppressive at all. Just looking at Branded as a whole, I can see why you want to hit that deck, right? Even though it's not the best deck in Master Duel right now, it is powerful, so you could argue it warrants a hit. It's just another one of those consistency hits, right, that I'm not a fan of. All right. I mean, 1 grass? That's a weird place to put grass. Grass, to me, just feels like a card that you either want it in the game, and then it should be at 3, because then people actually can play 60 card decks and have a realistic chance of seeing the card. Or it should be at 0, like how the TCG handles it. I feel like putting it at 1 or 2 is such a weird decision, but it's a very OCG / Master Duel decision. It's very on brand. Kelbeck finally goes to 1. God damn, dude. I never understood why Kelbeck was the one they left at 2, because it was also by far the best one. It didn't make any sense to me, but all right. Kelbeck to 1 finally. Jet to 1. That does make sense. Card is very, very strong. Once again, the freaking Jet is a consistency hit, which I don't like, but they've done it. Whatever. Fine. I guess now your deck only has, what is it? 2 blue, 1 Jet, 2 starter. It's kind of annoying that they're going about it that way instead of banning Elf, right? Elf is still around. Swap Frog, that is the hit that I think is very good. This is the exact opposite of a consistency hit, because Swap Frog was not a consistency card. And by limiting Swap Frog, you're doing something very interesting. You're just reducing the amount of times you can use Ronin Totem. This is a resource hit. This is not a consistency hit. It's a pure hit on the resources of the deck, where like what you used to do was you would Gigantic for Swap Frog, send a Ronin Totem, then you would link off the Swap Frog for an Elf, bring back the Swap Frog to send the other Swap Frog, bring back the Ronin, link them off, and then you could bring the Ronin back once more. So it was a lot of bodies that you accumulated from having 2 Swap Frogs. The funny thing is, you can still do that by playing one other frog. Dupe Frog would probably be the least bad one. It changes how often you will open Swap Frog, because of course drawing Dupe Frog is not as good as drawing Swap Frog, right? The Swap Frog limit I'm a fan of because it's not purely a consistency hit. Cards to be forbidden. Ooh, Rongo ban. That is surprisingly good. I didn't expect them to do this. This is catching me off guard right now. I did not expect them to make a good decision like that. Up until this point, this ban list consisted of some good unlimits and then some kind of questionable consistency hits. A lot of stuff that, like, I see why you want to hit those decks, but I just don't really agree with how you're hitting those decks. But here, we've got some actual good stuff happening. This card has hardly done anything good, right? The card is not super popular. With the Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, it's not always about how popular is this card, how high is the win rate of this card. It's also sometimes just about how fun is a card. And freaking this card, ever since it was printed, has never done anything good for the game. This is simply a very good riddance. Agido is banned. Now, okay. This one is funny to me because From a pure logical standpoint, this does not make any sense because this is the worst Ishizu card. However, it still is overall a good hit, I guess, because let me be real with you, all the Ishizu cards should be banned. Are all the other Ultra? I know Kelbeck is an Ultra and Keldo is an Ultra. I think Mudora is also super. I guess that might be their reasoning, hands down. It just might be that. And then we have Bish Balkan. Okay, this is a card that, similar to Rongo, I don't remember ever seeing this card in a freaking healthy context. It's always just been FTKs. Which, once again, Konami has done this in the past, where they would just ban cards that provide FTKs even if they were not good. I think that's fine for them to ban some FTK enablers, because I can imagine that, especially in like the lower ranks where people don't have, or people don't know that they should be putting hand traps into their deck, and like a more beginner environment, that some people like look up some crazy Bish Balkan FTKs and just farm with it because people don't have the answers to it. There's not many things that are worse for like a beginning player to see than like logging into Master Duel and just getting FTK by Bish Balkan or getting Rongoed, right? People that are in bronze and silver have told me that they see this FTK all the time. They're very happy. Okay, yeah, then I mean, it's not something that I personally experienced, but if other people say they do, then I mean, very good riddance regardless. Yeah, we have Block Dragon. Holy shit, is Master Duel banning Max C? Because they're getting rid of a lot of degen shit right now. Now, I'm not assuming that Maxi is on this list because Twitter would have literally exploded, but this almost feels like they are preparing for it. So far, the last couple ban lists since Master Duel's implementation, they felt more like OCG people making the decisions, right? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. People involved with both Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and Master Duel will know what I'm talking about. It's like there seems to be different philosophies behind the TCG ban list and the OCG ban list, where like the OCG is letting a lot of degenerate stuff roaming around, but they have Max C, and then in the TCG they do a lot of things differently, which I personally prefer. I personally prefer the TCG ban list a lot over the OCG ban list, and the Master Duel ban list has kind of been going the OCG path, and now it feels like they are banning a lot of stuff that, I mean, people have been asking for this forever, and they're finally doing it. And I'm wondering if maybe they want to take a lot of the degen stuff out of the game bit by bit, and then eventually end up in a place where you could remove Maxi from the game. Just food for thought and massive copium. Block Dragon should be banned, and if you don't think it should be banned, if you're sad about this, sucks to be wrong, I guess. This card deserves to be banned 100%. Merly? Merly's banned? I guess there has been no tier limit hits so far. I was kind of like, where are the tier limit hits besides the Ishizu cards? They just left Kid Kalos alive? Is what you're telling me? I'm trying to think whether I like this or not. In my opinion, Kid Kalos should be banned. The one thing I like about this is that they are approaching it differently than in the TCG and the OCG, resulting in a different game, which in some ways, Master Duel being different is very frustrating, but it's kind of something that we have to like live with, right? It's always been like that. Like Master Duel has always been different from the TCG and OCG because of release schedule and whatnot. I'm gonna tell you, if I have to play the same cards a couple months later, I prefer the format to be different rather than just being the same format again. Had they just banned Kid Kalos, we would basically be looking at tier limits in a stage where it was basically the same deck that it is in the OCG right now. But now it's very different because Merly is a huge hit. People have been asking for this hit in the TCG. People were like, what if we just ban Merly? Because this stops so many things, right? The most obvious thing is it takes away one tier limit name, which means instead of 3 fusions per turn, we only have 2 fusions per turn, right? That is a big difference. Plus, it inherently reduces the amount of good mills that we have, right? Because instead of 6 good mills, we only have 4 good mills for fusion effects. Merly was also by far, in my opinion, the best tier limits name because it had so much synergy with Sprint and Elf. And also, you don't have the mill 8 play, right? If you go normal summon Rhinohard, which is your most consistent starter in tier limits, if you go Kid Kalos target itself after, what do you even summon? it does make the deck significantly worse. Out of all the hits they've done in Master Duel, this is by far the biggest one to Tearlaments. Honestly, I am intrigued by this because we all know how Tearlament plays if they had just banned Kit Close. We all know what happens. We have that in the TCG. We have that in the OCG. We know what's going to happen, right? But what we don't know is what happens if they just ban Merly. So I'm very interested in this. I actually like this. That is the list. Is this the biggest ban list we've ever had in Master Duel? I would think so. I'm a fan of this. Now, listen, there is still stuff in Master Duel that is problematic. I'm looking at Max C specifically. That is the biggest question on my mind. And I don't mean to inject too much copium into all of you guys, but I am wondering what the idea here is. I am wondering if they saw all the feedback, all the complaints about the, you know, the 90% maxi usage rate and whatnot. Let me be clear. With the current state of Master Duel, they cannot just ban maxi and leave it as that is. They need to do so much more before they can ban maxi, right? Even after these bans on the screen right now, we still have Protoss, Aurora Dawn, Chaos Ruler. We have so many cards that would just run rampant if Maxi just got banned, right? Galaxy Tomahawk, freaking Spiral as a whole. If they banned Maxi right now, they would have to ban 10, 15, maybe 20 more cards. And I just don't think they want to do all of that at once. I personally don't think that's something you want to do as a company because it shines very bad light onto your game, right? It's basically like admitting that all of those cards are problematic. It would be like, hey, look, we fucked up in the last freaking 6 years of card design. We have to ban 20 cards at once. We all know that's technically what they need to do. They are problematic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they are not. I'm just saying that just doing that and just admitting it openly is not a very good practice for them. I understand it, right? I understand that if they reach the conclusion, hey, we have to get rid of some problems, that you don't do it all at once. Because they don't have a reason to, right? They can just do it slowly. We get a ban list every month, dude. Next month, we get another couple bans. And then the month after, we get another couple bans. And then eventually, they can be like, all right, a lot of this stuff is now gone. Now we can get rid of Maxi. And that was my copium for the day. I hope that's what they're doing. It might be hella copium, but I'm gonna be real with you. They haven't done a ban list like this in a long time, and I feel like something has to have changed about their way of thinking, right? You don't just have Block Dragon in your game for more than 1.5 years, and then just suddenly decide like, hey, yeah, Block Dragon, Bish Balkan, and Rongo kind of problematic. You have to change your way of thinking about the game, right? Like, that card has been in the game since the start, and it's been a problem since the start. And they had to have a reason why they kept it in the game, and they have to have the reason why they changed their way of thinking about it right now. So I think that's interesting. I don't think it's a coincidence that this happens right after we had the 90% Max C outcry. Remember the board meeting situation a couple weeks ago where the freaking investors said that Yu-Gi-Oh has some problems, you know? I don't know if this is a coincidence or not. I don't think so. I think drastically changing their way of approaching a ban list is one way how they deal with those things. So that's cool.